Hello, Port Townsend. I find it kind of funny. I keep hearing things about, like that Faber wasn't held accountable with the ethics complaint. And it's surprising me because I'm a little confused about it. And then Trent Diamante did a letter to the editor. They're all really happy. I guess they're really happy because the headline says ethics or something about Faber being cleared. But the rest of the article and all the other articles show what's the truth of it all. So I don't really understand. So you guys think that Faber's in the clear. So you think that even after the 6 month I went through with the Libby Winstrom complaint, you think that I thought that City Hall was going to hold Faber accountable and he's going to get in big trouble, right? Well, if the hearing officer would have ruled that Faber did violate the ethics complaint with the open meeting law violation, which he did violate, that would go back to city council and they would punish him. Well, they're not gonna. City manager John Morrow worked with Chief of Police Olson to let people in the back door of City Hall. They filled in the council chambers to capacity before we were able to get in. They blocked us in with a mob. They blocked us outside. Jason Saranis said in the newspaper that his good friend George Murray saved a place in line for him. Hundreds of people lined up, right? Hundreds of people mobbing us. And then Jason is the third in line because George Murray, the owner of the Rose Theater, had held a space for him. And he said that they only let a few in. Well, in my book, a few is three. Okay, so they let three in. Only three people fit into city council, right? So we have George Murray admitting this. We have Jason Saranis admitting this. They were in the front of the line. Now, Olson told Amy that both sides would be able to get in. Then he changed it when he's there. He said, nope, it's to capacity. We can't let anybody in capacity. Well, how did it get to capacity, Mr. Olson? Because Chief Olson violated the open meeting laws. John Morrow, city manager, violated the open meeting laws. They filled the council chamber from the back. Public records show email between Olson and Morrow that they're letting in Bo Olgren's group in the back, the group that aligns with the city's belief. Okay, public records show that Faber knew in advance and did incite people, but what Phil was saying is he didn't directly invite people, so that record hasn't showed up yet. He told but he did tell that Clark, that citizen of the community, invite other trans people, right? He's like, invite more people. It's right there in the record. And Phil saw that. But it didn't matter if Phil ruled him guilty or not. I didn't care because it goes back to city council and they all did the same thing. Even Monica, the video I posted tonight on Port Townsend News on Facebook, they're like, and Ben, they're lined up around the block. Ben was outside. He knew they were keeping us out. Libby Winstrom's like, they're doing whatever they're doing, and she hired Salish Rescue to mob us and keep us out. Right, and they harassed us and assaulted us. And so city council isn't going to hold Faber responsible. But if you read my summary judgment, which my email is reverendcrystalcox@gmail.com, if you would like me to email you a copy, but it's also on Port Townsend News on Facebook, I paint out the bias. I paint out how the city council violated the open meeting laws. And I don't care if they hold Faber accountable because it's in the Julie Jamon case, it's evidence, right? They violated the open meeting laws. And there will hopefully be a class action civil lawsuit against all of us from the event as well. So all of you out there going, we won, Faber won, we won. No, here's what the ethics complaint really did, okay? First of all, it worked y'all up because I was in the paper every week, okay? It brought to the attention that I, Reverend Crystal Cox, had no criminal record, that you all have been lying about me, that my free speech case, that I'm the free speech hero. I won my appeal. I was the first one to go to a higher court. Before my case win, industry whistleblowers, investigative bloggers, citizen journalists, online content creators, they didn't have equal rights to the highest paid journalists in institutional press. After my case, they did. The New York Times, LA Times, all these big papers, they all lost their monopoly on free speech because of me, because of my case. I had 15 settlement offers and I said no to all of them. One part of one of them was put in the New York Times and called extortion. Y'all don't care that I don't have a criminal record. You don't care that I don't have criminal charges. You just tell everybody that I do. You don't care that I won my higher court case. You don't care that Libby Winstrom lies and says, I have defamation judgments against me. Don't have one defamation judgment against me. I won my appeal. Okay. And they're all like, talking about Randazza, my attorney. Check out Corruption Randazza or RandazzaCorruption.com. Not my site. He's a very bad man. And it's so funny. They're all bragging. They think that Randazza, right? Well, Randazza works with the Center for Liberty, that Julie Jamon's attorneys. Hermie Dillon. They're besties. Which I was surprised to find out. I'm not thrilled about myself. But Mark Randazza is a very bad man. He has a default judgment against me because he lied that I didn't answer a complaint. He's just a horrible, evil person. But I don't have a defamation. I don't have a judgment against me in a case. And then the New York Times, salacious yellow journalism, Faber's like, well, that's cool and that's true. But what the leader posts about me isn't true. So what it did was it set the record straight about me, even though people are still lying. It stopped Healthier Together, along with a bunch of other community members, right? It opened people's eyes to what was really going on there. And that had been going on in an effort for a lot of people in the community. I'm not saying I did it. I'm saying that it contributed to the shift to shutting them down and moving it to the county and exposing what they did. Faber asked the Phil Olbrich, the hearing officer, in the summary judgment, he goes, would you please, because I dismissed the part about the zoning because apparently it didn't happen. Now, Morrow and Faber are out there acting like it did happen. And so it hadn't officially happened. So we're going to wait until they do it. And because spot zoning is illegal, and then we'll go there and then probably just sue them in Superior Court because we don't want to take it back to City Council. They're like, I don't see nothing going on here. But anyway, in the summary judgment, Faber asked Phil, I know I'm a real estate lawyer and all, but could you tell me, is it legal for me to have like lots near the development of the golf course or not? But, I dismissed that one, so he didn't necessarily get that. So he wants legal advice on your dime, and he's a real estate attorney. Mm-hmm. So I'll be posting his summary judgment stuff on Port Townsend News too. Any of these you want, just email me. And so the Healthier Together went away. If my ethics complaint hadn't went through, then Theodore Howard, would be a council member. He was a shoo-in. Okay, he had loaned Palmer money. He was besties with Diamante. He was drug buddies with Diamante over there in Whidbey or wherever. And they all have a history, and they all, have affordable housing meetings or whatever they do. They're all besties. So he was going to be the council member. It was pretty much a done deal. I exposed that they were in financial business together and that Howard was in a business, Smart Urbanism LLC, with Faber, and that he's the president of Olympic Housing Trust, and that Faber used your tax dollars, your city newsletter, and his clout in the Port Townsend newspaper to promote Olympic Housing Trust building houses, okay? I proved that there's a history of laundering money and no accountability. With the Cherry Street project, the Free Press had already done tons of work, but I looked up all the audits. They need to be held accountable for that. So that's all in the record. It's all in the public record, and the public has seen it. So whatever y'all believe in the paper, whatever. But Faber was exposed. He was exposed in the paper. Okay, so then his law clerk, Trent Diamante, attacks me and calls me all kinds of horrible names. That exposes how nasty they were and just shallow, right? And how they suck at, legal. Didn't provide any legal stuff on it. Didn't talk about the golf course, didn't talk about anything, but just how bad the messenger is. And then Theo Howard, he did a Nastygram newsletter just trashing me, okay? Now, I was the first one since the 2017 ethics change. Phil mentioned this a couple times. I'm the only one that's ever done an ethics complaint. Okay, I was the first one. I set the precedence with Libby Winstrom's. I had to cancel. I dismissed Libby's in the last week because the city refused to give me public records for a year. And I'm still in a lawsuit with them over it. So I dismissed the one allegation that moved forward with Libby. She violated a whole bunch of ethics codes, but Phil was like, well, if it's not money and it's not this and it's not that, so there's nothing that they can do. The ethics code of the city is completely irrelevant and useless. Look at it. They violate them every day. For example, they said, it's the code and it's the rule So Morrow said this, so the public records officer said, no, it's the rule. They only use email. They don't use Facebook. They don't use Instagram. They don't use Signal. They don't use Blue Sky. They don't use, right? And I'm like, well, bull, they do, right? So they violate that. So I ordered those records and I got some of them. Libby waited over a year, $100 a day, public records, to say, oh, I don't have any messages with that guy. I have witnesses that she does have messages with that guy. And we're trying to do an in-camera review to force them to show their messages. Meanwhile, they delete them. Faber deleted messages with some people. He obviously called them up and they were deleted. So a whole bunch more is going to come out. But so, okay, so the Healthier Together changed. The upzoning was exposed. The connection to Theo Howard was exposed. Thank goodness, because then he'd have another council member to vote for his way. Faber was exposed of his own property and personal investment. Faber was exposed to be rabid and hateful to the newspaper, to me. Instead of defending himself in the issues, he went at attacking me because he's like what the New York Times said. Now, he's an attorney. He knows that there was an appeal and that I won. He did that just to try to trash me. But the messenger, it doesn't matter what the messenger says. Come on, guys, grow a brain. If I write an ethics complaint and say you have 6 heads, just write a report saying how you don't have 6 heads. It's easy. You don't have to tell the world how stupid and dumb and horrible I am, because that's kind of irrelevant to the allegation. So I consider it a win because I got a bunch of discovery for the lawsuits. I got a bunch for the golf course stuff changed, the pool stuff changed. I exposed Trent. I exposed Theo. I've exposed finances, and Faber exposed how horrible he is to the world and went after the newspaper. So that's a win for me. A win would not have been for Phil to go, okay, Faber did it, and send it back to City Hall. Because then his co-conspirators who did the same thing would have said, well, we didn't see nothing. So y'all laughing out there thinking that Faber won and Crystal lost. First of all, I dismissed the golf course part of it. You can do whatever you want with it. It's your tax dollars, ain't mine. The Lawrence Street project, of course the sidewalks needed changed. But the bid went up 300%. I'm from Montana. I have a degree in forestry. I did forest contracts all the time. I could have got someone to bid it from Montana for 300% less, right? They give a bid, they get tax dollars, then they go, oh, sorry, it went up 300%. Then they use your transportation money. They used a bunch of other stuff along with the grant for the ADA ramps. And granted, there needed to be sidewalks up there. I'm not saying there didn't. It's too bad they have to remove the trees because the city's horrible at trees. Urban forestry, right? They cut down trees like downtown, those stupid trees at the Pope Marine Park, and they put in just sticks, and they are dead on top. They don't grow right. They don't look right. They'd be better off to have resin, like the trees in Las Vegas and the casinos, because they look so horrible. And now they're like having an urban forestry project. It's all just a waste of money because they don't know what they're doing. And then the bushes that thrive, they pull out. The really cool things like that down there where they put the whale, there was like a stage type thing. People down there every day playing music and laughing and playing, they ripped it out. This city council has put in ugly art. They've divided the community. They've destroyed everything natural downtown. They've made a mess of everything. But back to Lawrence Street. If it's okay with you that the bid went up 300%, it's okay to you that there's $1 million project that goes right in front of Faber's buildings and that improves his real estate, that's great. I mean, he's been on city council, right, for 12 years. Sandoval groomed him. It's all been about him and his future, right? Out of 400 nonprofits, only one of them was considered a permanent building on the golf course, and that's the Recyclery, which Sam Feinstein started, right? It's okay that you're funding Faber's buddies and his hive mind, friends and associates. It's okay that you're doing that. But I just want the other people to know that you're doing that and that they're funding it. Like you wanted the whole county to fund it. This one guy said, I wonder how they'd like to keep the golf course if they had to pay for it. Whoa. I wonder how you'd like to keep all your buildings, like the KPTZ, whatever building, all these buildings that you subsidized for your hive mind, all the fraudulent money in Fort Worden. If you had to pay, you wanted the whole county to pay for your pool, but you well, they had to pay for the golf course. The double standards and the hypocrisy is what I'm calling out. So the ethics complaint was a win. I've been reporting on corruption for 20, 30 years. And in Port Townsend, on and off for the last 12 years, I've told City Hall 100% truth about tons of stuff, and they don't care. So for the first time, the newspaper did care. I mean, I have records of, like, I filed complaints against Judge Mindy Walker, Prosecutor Kennedy's above the law. There was a court order to return Michael Almain's dog, a court order. The city defied it. The prosecutor defied it, and they took his dog, an uncut wolf dog. Every puppy worth $700. It was his emotional support animal. It was his survival, and they took it against a court order. Okay, the laws do not apply to any of them, and so I consider it a win that it got in the newspaper. And it got in the newspaper again and again and again and again. And everything I said was 100% fact. You can believe it or not. That's not on me. Okay, it's your tax dollars. I don't own property downtown Port Townsend. Okay, you're the one that's paying them to do it. You're the one that's saying, oh, you want it raised? You want some more taxes, some more sales tax, some more lodging tax, some more tax? You give them tax after tax after tax, and this is what they do with it. Great. Keep doing it. Pay 100% tax. It's on you. But I told the 100% truth, and the ethics complaint was a win. Not only was I in the paper, but the paper humanized me. They talked about my church. They talked about my spiritual mission. They talked about my court cases. I'm a human being. Everything I said was true to the best of my ability. I didn't say something against the mayor because I hate trans people. I'm closer to being trans than Faber is. I've helped more trans people with real issues than Faber has. The city has went after trans people, and I've helped them. Okay? They are disingenuous. They're a fraud, okay? It's their own emotional. Faber's like, well, I'm going to represent everybody and stand up for everybody. Well, he doesn't. And in the newspaper, he admitted, that Julie, I didn't like her. He didn't say that, but he's like, I was standing up for a trans person, right? You can't pick a side as a mayor. You don't think that's going to be in the lawsuit? He biased one community member, one groupthink, one ideology over another. That's fine for personal people. But as the mayor, that is a financial liability that you're paying for. By the way, you're paying for Morrow's personal legal fees on this Jamon case. Okay, you're paying for it. He was sued personally and professionally. He should have an attorney. It was his own personal ideology that did it. He lied about the permit process. He put that mob on us. He lied afterwards. Okay, he lied to the whole community about what happened at the YMCA. He didn't even know, and he didn't know if the bathrooms were in compliance. The public records show all of this, and this timeline and chronology is with Julie's attorneys. Okay, I provided all the evidence, and so you guys think it's a big win because it didn't go back to the co-conspirators? No, I won. God won. Love won. You guys have lost your power, and whether you know it or not, well, that's on you.